Thank everybody for coming out. We're gonna have, Dr. Johnson lead over the invocation, followed by pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this awesome day that you have given us. We thank you for life, health, and for strength. We thank you for the minds that are around this council chambers. We thank you, Lord God, for all the things that you have provided for us in this day. Now we ask that you come into the midst of our meeting as we conduct business on behalf of the citizens of Marlboro County. Give us a vision, give us the knowledge and the understanding as we lead in the manner that you are pleased with. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. How you doing, Steve? Steve. Can I get a motion for approval of agenda items?
So motion approved.
Second. All motions have been made second. All in favor? Show of hands. Unanimous. Can I get a motion to go into executive session to discuss contractual matters?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. We'll be adjourned for a short brief to go into executive session. we're out of executive session. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Motion made and second to come out of executive session. There was no vote taken. Executive session closed. We back to our regular, agenda. Old business. Discussion of personnel policy and procedure manual for Marlboro County. Ms. Sumter?
Okay, if you have your previous month's, proposed personnel policies and procedures manuals changes along with the manual, you will see that we discussed on all pages of the new policy, it would say, this is not a contract, employment is at will. Then on page 5, authority for implementation and administration of policy, we would add a third paragraph, which would state, each department supervisor or department head is responsible for ensuring that county policies and procedures are carried by their department on a daily basis. And the county council approved this employee handbook. It can be amended and updated through resolutions of the county council. Going to your pregnancy accommodations on page 6 through 7. We took away what was there and changed the title to pregnancy accommodations to pregnancy, childhood, or related medical conditions accommodations, and revised the section completely. This the revision for this section was done by our labor lawyer, so it includes any changes that have happened within law from 2020 up until 2025. As we go on with sexual and other forms of illegal harassment on pages 7 through 8, we edited the first paragraph, changing it to Marlboro County is committed to developing and maintaining a work environment that is free from bullying, unsolicited, and unwelcome conduct of discriminatory or retaliatory nature and sexual harassment. Employees who are found to have violated this policy are subject to disciplinary action up to and including discharge. On pages 13 through 14, overtime, compensation, and compensatory time, the third paragraph was edited and a fourth paragraph was deleted. The third paragraph was edited to law enforcement and correctional officers will be compensated for all hours worked over 86 and 14 days. And if you know, before they were doing overtime, which we sort of had a slang for it called Chinese overtime, which in essence, you had to work an average of your 14 days would determine what your hourly wage was for your overtime. And we did away with that in 21, I think it was. And so, that was after our policies book had been done in 2020, so we had to go and change that. Annual leave and sick leave accruals on pages 15 and page 18. All charts will be edited from 1 to 5 years, and instead of 1 to 4 years. I think we had some 1 to 4 years in our previous charting, and we are changing that to 1 to 5, just to make a correction there. Carryover of unused sick leave accrued in a calendar year on page 18. The first and second sentence will be edited to the following order to obtain to the same stuff that the South Carolina state government uses, which is the maximum carryover amount of sick leave per calendar year is 100 standard leave days or 1,440 hours for a 24-hour shift. 180. I'm sorry, what did I say? Okay, 180 standard leave days.
And it's, because I wanna make sure on page 18, you sure that says 1 to 5 instead of 1 to 4, and then 5 to 9? Is that not what it's supposed to be?
It is the chart, okay, there were some other corrections too in that
Okay.
chart. Let's see, let me turn to it so I can
Okay.
do this.
Cause it used to say from 1, it was off, there was always a number off, and it wouldn't go up to the
Okay.
next year.
On the original chart,
Yeah.
it says 1 to 4.
Right.
And we would change that from 1 to 5. The next line would be 5 to 9. The next line would be 10 to 15, and the next line being 15 to 20.
See, this
Okay,
is catch there, you said 10 to 15,
Mhm.
then you're gonna go back
there-
down with 15 to 19, should that not be up to the next year?
15 to 20,
Right.
right,
But then you, do you
Then
have
anything
10?
over 20 plus years would be this time.
Should that be
What she's
10
asking
and
is that
14?
Should there be a gap between 1 to 5
Right.
and then 6 to 9? But to answer that question, if somebody falls at 5.5,
Right,
you know, you still want to have the 1 to 5, but if there's anything over 5, then they go to the next. So it's up to 5 years exactly. But
Okay.
once they get over 5 years, they go from that 5 to 9. So
is that how we discussed that in that meeting like that, though?
We did it as 1 to 5,
Right.
and then starting with, I'm sorry, we did it as 1 to 5, and then the next one as 5 to 9. That's how we did it in the meeting. But I'm
What was in
open
the
to,
old book?
the whole book is saying 1 to 4, then 5 to 9.
Okay,
It's on page 15.
all right.
So is there some discussion as to how you want the chart to?
No, I just thought, because it's saying the same thing in this procedure book that we.
Okay, the procedure book only stars like where your information currently is.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, well,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. All right, then on page 20, maximum balance of sick leave would be, the sentence should be edited to note a reduction in hours from the sick leave bank. Our sick leave bank currently has for hours a maximum of 20,
3,200?
30, a maximum of, I'm looking for it. We were doing a maximum of a little better than 4,000 hours, and we're changing that to 3,200 hours to be carried over, not to exceed 3,200. And that's primarily because we only collect around 1,000 hours a year from staff, and they have to donate their time in January. They can donate anything from 1 day to 5 days. So, with that being said, we make the reduction based on some of our counties around us that was only doing the 3,200 hours. All right. With our sick leave, request for sick leave bank and criteria of approved requests from pages 20 and 21, what we did was, usually when the committee meets, they tell the person who's applying for sick leave from the sick leave bank what the criteria is. Instead of going through that and an employee wondering, we just put it in the handbook. So now you know exactly, instead of waiting to meet with the sick leave bank committee, you now know exactly what the policy is or what your criteria is to obtain leave from the sick leave bank. Then on page 29, temporary part-time employee, we changed the title from temporary part-time employee to temporary seasonal part-time employee, because we do hire people for just maybe for a grass cutting season during the spring and summer, or we may have employees that we're hiring during our seasons where in our activities, our fall activities, our winter activities, we see an increase in activities and we need additional staff. Demotion, we did not have anything in there where we talked about evaluations, and we put in that a 90-day performance evaluation will be conducted on all demoted employees, just as if new employees who were obtaining a job with us or going to a different position, you would do an evaluation. We felt like if you were demoting an employee, you would also need to do an evaluation on that employee, because that would be a different position for that employee. Pay for performance, we edited that because it appeared as if we were doing pay for performance based off a chart and that we had standing money there. And we put that annual pay for performance salary increase may be provided subject to appropriation by the county council, which, really means that if we have money and you all agree that it's appropriate, then we'll be able to do some pay for performance increases. Phone inquiries, it was just.
that's part of the last,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. So
There-
what do we change then?
We just changed, we took away the entire sentence about them being on a chart, being able to be paid off of a employee compensation chart.
But now
Because-
the council will make that decision.
Right,
Okay.
okay. Then, phone inquiries, it was a typo, so we put, no phone inquiries. Phone inquiries will not be accepted, where it said no phone inquiries will be accepted. Then this next one, which is our conflict of interest. And what I had passed around was, on that one, we did not have a definitive decision. On the first page, it tells you what our current policy in our handbook reads. And it reads that county employees are encouraged to be active and participate in local, state, and federal affairs. However, employees are not permitted to do the following: hold political office, which would create a conflict of interest, or participate in political activities, which would create a conflict of interest. 2, utilize county time, materials, or equipment in support of a campaign. Or 3, solicit any assessments, contributions, or services for any political party or candidate during daily work hours. Employees who are paid either in full or in part by federal monies are covered under the Federal Hatch Act and Federal Campaign Act and will be required to conform to the regulations of those acts. It is the responsibility of the employee to ensure compliance with such acts. Any county employee must disclose the intention to file for a county elected office with his department head prior to filing or his appointment. When an employee of the county files for a county elected office, the employee may be placed on approved leave without pay or be required to use annual leave. The use of annual leave shall not be automatic, but is contingent upon the prior written approval of the department head and the Director of Human Resources. That is currently what our policy states. That's in our current 2020 handbook. We came up with, in our discussion, with 2 options. Option one, which is proposed by Marlboro County Committee, and it stated, county employees are encouraged to be active and participate in local, state, and federal affairs. However, employees are not permitted to do the following: 1, hold political office, which would create a conflict of interest, or participate in political activities, which would create a conflict of interest. 2, utilize county time, materials, or equipment in support of a campaign. Or 3, solicit any assessments, contributions, or services for any political party or candidate during daily work hours. That should be working, not week. Any county employee must notify the county administrator and Director of Human Resources in writing of their intention to file for political office or position. Failure to do so will result in termination. When an employee or candidate of the county does file for a county elected office, the employee will be placed on approved leave without pay or required to use annual leave. The use of leave shall not be automatic, but is contingent upon the prior written approval of the county administrator and Director of Human Resources. Any employee elected to a county elected position or office must resign prior to being sworn in.
And that's the actual change right there.
Right.
In the policy, that's the real meaning of change, is that once they are elected, if they're running, if they're not elected, then they just go back to the job. If they do get elected, they have to resign before they get sworn in. Because you cannot hold a county office and be a county employee. So that's where that real change is right there in that policy.
Okay, to make it clear, if someone wins the election in June, they don't get sworn in until January. they can go back to the current job, correct?
According to that one, yes.
Yes, okay.
But they cannot.
They cannot, yeah, they cannot do both, right, right. They got resign before they have to get sworn in, before, okay.
And they would actually be elected in June. They would have to wait
Wait till
until
November,
November to actually be officially elected because even if it's not a person of the other party, you still have to have
wait till the final election over with.
right.
So, but listen, this is what point I'm bringing up. June, there's primaries.
Right.
No matter what, there's a primary, no matter what party. When that primary is over with, if you're happen to be the candidate-elect, you're the candidate-elect, you will not be still the candidate-elect until November.
Right.
You're still a candidate.
No, you're right.
You're still a candidate. So guess what? When an employee says, I'm gonna file for office, when that employee files for office, if he or she wins that, they're still a candidate, because November election has to come.
That's correct.
Right.
If you file for office, you're still a candidate until November 3rd or 4th. That goes from there all the way to then.
So
According
that,
to this, you're still an official candidate, so you still can't go back to the job until the election is over with. Now, when that election is over with, November 5th or whatever, then if you win or lose, you can go back to your job, but you can't be sworn in until January. You can't be sworn in until you quit, or you can't do both.
no,
So if let's say I was
Can't
Marlboro
serve on-
County and I
can't serve
ran,
on-
You can't serve on elected official and also be an employee of the county. You can't
right,
do both.
that's the thing, you
yeah.
cannot. be
So
an
if I
employee
ran
of the
and
county.
won in June,
Right.
you know, without opposition,
Right.
you know, I'm still not allowed to work
You're still not, because you're
Because
still
because I'm
Candidate.
still officially in that.
a candidate until November, the official final election, because again, somebody could write in, and so you still have to run, you're still a candidate.
So basically, if you're an employee of the county and you decide to run for an elected position, you
Correct.
have to stop work from then until,
From the time you file.
so you really, you cease your operations unless you lose.
It has that you can use whatever annual leave would
Right.
be.
Yeah, but if you start, if you announce in March,
Right,
there's no way you're gonna go, November 3rd, you're not gonna come back to work for a month and a half. So once you announce, you would say you're done. I mean, that's what this was saying.
Okay.
So,
Let me-
but
while we're
the
on
one
that-
thing I would say is, it says the use of leave shall not be automatic, but is contingent upon prior written approval of county elected position. Whatever that one is, it sets precedent for everything else, because if you do one way and one different, you're setting county and staff up for a lawsuit.
right.
So I would be I would say either,
Do you prefer just making it automatic, or make a decision right
Look,
now?
Darlington County has it so clean, you don't have to worry.
yeah, I just think
Darlington County has it.
this puts a lot of pressure on two
Darlington
positions.
County is clear. If you are an employee of the county, you are not able to run for a county position. That's Darlington County. If you work for the Marlboro County School District, you cannot run for an office in Marlboro County School District. You can run anywhere else, but you cannot be working as an employee and running for office in the county.
That's handing to, I don't like that policy, because that handicapping somebody. Because if I want to change my career, you know, I don't want to know about handicap me, tell me what I can and cannot do. Because just because you run, don't mean you're gonna win. I could sign up and I lose in June. Then I go
You
right
might
back to work.
decide you don't take it.
Yeah.
You might change your mind.
Yeah, exactly, you know, or I could lose, you could lose in June.
So I think, and to your point, if somebody signs up in March to
Right.
run for office, and they lose in the primary.
Right, they go back to work,
They've only lost, what, a few months?
correct.
They should get to come back
Correct.
to work, and
And everything should be, it should be changed.
Yeah, that part I agree with.
With all the changes, Marlboro County is the only one that's snuffing this thing about being sworn in. All the other policies, out of 18 I looked at, they don't have anything about being sworn in. None of the other ones, because I've been working on this for a year and a half. Nobody else has this thing about you have to be sworn in. They make it really clear. And we just added that line about Marlboro County, you have to be sworn in. They don't have that. Darlington, Chesterfield, Marion, Florence, Richland, none of those people have that. Carlton County, they don't have that stuff in there. Marion either. We just put that in there. Mess about you got to be sworn in first. You either make it clean so everybody will know, and that's it. That's the thing, because last election in 2024, too many of those employees violated the Hatch Act. I'm on my lunch hour. Marlboro County pays for these people to be on lunch, and I'm on my lunch hour, and that was illegal then, and it's gonna be illegal now. They were out there on their lunch hour.
If black and white, if you sign up in March
Correct.
to run, and I work for, Parks and Recreation as grass cutter, I can put in my leave and my sick leave and annual leave. The second week in June, I lose. I go back to work. Simple as that. If I win, I think I can go back to work until, after the election in November. You know?
I think that's fair. You're allowed to use up all your annual,
Exactly.
whatever leave for that amount of time.
Right.
And that way, because if you have a qualified person in one of the positions that's come up through the ranks for years and wants to run for elected, if you say, well, I still have to work, but I will take a chance at least till June, I think that would allow somebody, to move. I think as long as it allows them to use all of their leave.
Let's say that person
automatic.
ran and lost. Is there an opportunity for them to be rehired back from the county if you so choose to do? Or is that something that's restricted?
That wasn't even.
As long as that position is not been filled.
As long as that seat wasn't filled, no, it wasn't discussed.
And
Yeah, if they just, if it's automatic approved leave to use your leave time up until it's exhausted, and once it's exhausted, it's exhausted.
So I like that. Just take the leave shall not be automatic. If I got the time, you can't tell me I can't use my annual leave if I got the time.
Right.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
we need to make that decision because
Yeah.
again, there's some liability with us making that decision.
Yeah.
So.
So I'll change that language.
Either they can or they can't.
Well,
If they can, let's
before we do anything, read the second option.
Okay, so, all right, hold on. In that first option though, at the bottom was for the purposes of this policy, an employee is considered a candidate for public office as soon as he begins actively campaigning for nomination or election, or when he or she files for candidacy, whichever comes sooner.
And y'all know what that happens, because some people are gonna be starting in February saying, I'm gonna seek office. But once you file in March, that's the time, is the original filing date. But some people do go out and say, I'm gonna be seeking office. Because once you make that public statement that you're seeking office, you become a candidate.
Yeah, but it says as soon as he, she begins to actively campaign. So that wording could be a little bit skewed, a little bit, I can wiggle my way out of that word.
I think when they file, you got that.
When they
Go
file,
ahead,
when
say
they actually
file.
file.
I mean, no, it's not
Clear.
questionable, it's clean, it's clean.
Okay, so let's say file.
When they
Yeah, I
actually
think-
file for political office.
Yeah, because everybody can put the fillers out there. I'm gonna run to see what kind of feedback I'm gonna get
Yeah,
in the neighborhood.
So we just put file
Yeah.
instead of when he or she
All right.
announces.
All right, option 2. Employees may fully and freely associate themselves in organizations of their own choosing, except those organizations whose purpose is to overthrow the government of the United States, the state of South Carolina, or any of its political subdivisions. In addition, supervisory employees may not join or support labor organizations which accept to membership subordinates or such supervisors. In certain circumstances involving real or potential conflicts, employees who run for a county elected position may not be allowed to continue in county employment. The employee or candidate may be placed on unpaid leave of absence until after the election. If an employee is placed on leave of absence, his or her employment will terminate upon his or her election to the county office. For the purpose of this policy, same thing, an employee is considered a candidate for public office as soon as he or she begins actively campaigning for nomination or election, or he or she files for candidacy, whichever comes sooner.
So,
With,
they're very similar. Like you see similarities, right? Once you sign up, then you're, I don't know, terminated or you place on leave, but once you're elected, then now your office is, your job is over and you're going to take the office. The difference that we had was that you had to be sworn in first. And so I see what you're saying, like, that says as soon as you're elected, you're done. I was
getting back to the resign part. If you resign, you lose everything that you've been in there for. If you've been in 15 years in the, I'm just using an office. I mean, if you've been in there for 15 years, you just can't work. I mean, it seem like it would roll over from still working with the county as a employee to working as an elected official. Because if you resign with 20 years, would you not start back over? You won't resign if you resign?
If you resign, let's say, for instance, I'll just use me, all right? I'm in a position, I decide that I'm running, and let's say I win, okay? As far as my years of service, they continue from even with my retirement or whatever, all of that continues just to increase,
Okay.
whether I resigned or
Okay,
anything.
as long as
Okay?
the wordage.
All right,
I got
but if I was, terminated, then that would just come into my benefits piece. Now, but let's getting back to number one though. It says the employee can be placed on approved leave without pay or required to use their annual leave. I mean,
I'll just say annually, I won't even go with the approved leave without pay. If they got the time, let them use, whatever time they got, because, if they can go on leave without pay, then that still put them in, you almost saving a position for someone if they use the leave without pay. If I know my annual leave, I got 30 days in annual leave, I understand 30 days, but if I'm on leave without, pay, that can go on for 6, 7, 8, 9 months, if that. So I just say annual leave. They will have to use their annual leave. And then after that, it will be leave without pay automatically.
So they could option use their annual leave first,
Yeah.
and then go to without pay. And that sounds fair.
Well, the only hiccup, and I'm just being devil advocate here, the auditor office, she won't get sworn into July 1. Although it's 4 years down the road, but if we put in the policy that she could go back, or him or her could go back to work in November after the election of which we saying that she can work, or they can work until they get sworn in. So you got 6 months that person can work, cause they won't get sworn in until July 1.
That's why I said Marlboro County is the only one got that little feedback in their ordinance. They're the only ones.
You understand what I'm saying, Ms. Sutton? Like I say, if 3 or 4 years from now, we'll be right back in this situation. If somebody wins in November and they don't take office till July 1, they can sit home, they can work. They can come right back to the county and work for 6 months. But I say, I understand that's just one, that person is the only position that's, and the treasurer auditor take seat in June, July?
It'll be a case, almost a case by case, because if you were the only candidate running in the primary, if you were the only candidate running in the primary on one side and you won, in June, then you're basically unopposed. So would you come back to work in June and work all the way out?
No, you gotta do something in November. Somebody do a write-in. After that. They can't do a write-in, and so that way, the election never over with till November. No election never over with till November 7th, so. But you said the auditor and the treasurer don't take office in January, they take it in June, July 1.
Fiscal year. But there's still that time your candidate elect no matter what.
We want to make sure legally we in, the right space.
And no other county have anything about sworn in their policies either. That's what I was the point I was trying to make. I pulled about 18 of them. No other county has something about being sworn in. That's why they're making it clean, because you're gonna bog yourself down into.
No, I don't know the Chesterfield orders at all. And,
But this language,
in the first language.
that's the being sworn in language. We may not necessarily need that particular language, because before that person actually takes office, they won't be an employee anymore.
They won't.
So do we need that particular statement right there?
okay, if a person goes on approve leave without pay. That person's not terminated,
Okay.
okay? Are you planning on terminating the person while they're campaigning? You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
No, I didn't think that's what Council was saying, terminating one, because they're running, but they just can't be working and can't be benefiting, from salary from the county while they're campaigning.
Yeah.
That was the gist of what I think we all talking about here, right?
Will the benefits still be in play?
How we do, generally if we ask them to pay their benefits, like, let's put it, if they have leave, we continue to take out benefits. If their leave is gone, then I usually send a letter telling you how much your
They
benefits
have
are.
to pay it themselves,
They
right?
have to pay.
Yeah.
Just ask a question. Good answer, good answer.
I mean, I think this Hatch Act was kind of, as a kind of deterrent almost for, government employees using their position to take advantage of and getting in political position because of their affiliation with county government. So we need to make it, where it's not as easy, to, because, you can easily be on county time and doing all
All
of your
this-
campaign
right.
stuff and getting paid from the county while you are actually campaigning. So we want to make it so it's kind of uncomfortable a little bit, so people would think
And it's legal.
1, 2, 3 times, before they enter into a political race, knowing that they're not going to abide by these particular acts. And so, as clear as we can get it,
I think you use your automatic leave, you use your leave, then your own paid leave until the end of the election. I think that's clear, it's crystal clear and cut.
unpaid leave to end of the
Then,
election.
you keep your benefits, but you have to pay your part. I mean, so you
That's
kind of paid
exactly
leave.
what
but you-
most of the other counties have.
Yeah, I think that would be,
That's
that's,
exactly
I think that's kind of
what-
crystal
So
clear
could we
cut.
put that specific language?
We've been working on this since June of 2024.
We
And I
might
know
need
for a
that
fact-
specific language right there,
Yeah, it's the use of county leave will be automatic. I'm just paraphrasing, it'll be automatic until your time runs, then you're on unpaid leave until the election's over. I mean, with the understanding that you continue, you're still an employee, but you're just not on.
Mr. Mister, what's your intake?
Yeah, I'm with y'all.
Okay.
What Jason's saying there.
Well,
Yeah.
you,
I agree with
the
that.
guru?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it should interfere, as long as you don't do anything that's, using county supplies and stuff like that. We have the same problem at work. As long as I've been there, I can't use and print stuff off using Don Tar's paper and all that stuff.
And then you can't be a candidate working in this county with your truck out there with the tag on it saying you're a candidate. You can't do that, and that's a happen. You cannot have your political stuff displayed on the grounds. And that's the kind of stuff we have to be sure that it's not happening.
Yeah, once they file, they have to use. Once they
cannot
file,
be in this
they have to
house.
use their leave
Right.
until it's used up, then they go on unpaid leave until the end of the election, or either they lose. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of understood.
Right.
Steve, Lafayette, y'all chime in on this conversation.
Yeah, I think
I agree with that. I mean, I think that, I don't want them to lose nothing, but I don't wanna make it, too easy for them either. Yeah, so I think that's the right way to go about it. They need to be serious when they don't need to just say, well, I'm gonna try it, and I ain't got nothing to lose, you know what I'm saying? I want them to be serious about it, but, I think that's about the only way we can do it and be right.
Lafayette?
Just getting back to what Ms. Lawson said earlier, that I looked it up. Talking about the Hatch Act, normally you
Yes,
think
sir.
about the president or the big shot. I just looked it up just last month, on August the 25th, a mayor and part of his staff, they were charged up north because they used his administration. They mailed out flyers from City Hall and stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be big people, it can happen to little mayors
It can.
and county councilmen and stuff, if you were using, county equipment to better benefit your campaign.
Right.
it's a fine line, so we gotta make sure the verbiage is correct. To make sure that, to prevent any future lawsuits or anything like that, so, but I'm in agreement with, what they're saying and everything. Just just make sure the verbiage is precise.
And I really appreciate Ms. Sumter for working with me, because did we not pull out about 18 other policies?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
pulled them out. I pulled out from county to county to county. And this was long weeks. And thank you, Mr. Midget, for attending a few of the meetings, and you also, Mr. Clive. But we pulled, I mean, this was weeks working on this stuff. I was pulling county ordinance all over the state. I even pulled some North Carolina ordinance. I'm just saying, even though people may not like what I say, I just think that's why it's best to look at more than one or two ordinances. Look at a whole bunch of them. And I try to look at the small counties, the middle counties, and the large counties.
Okay, getting back to this, I'm going to that paragraph. It starts off with, any county employee must notify the county administrator and director of human resources in writing of their intention to file for a political office or position. Failure to do so will, failure not to.
Failure not to do so.
Not to.
Failure to do so is fine.
Failure to do so, failure to do so.
Failure to do so.
Failure to do so will result in termination?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, they have to notify
They have to notify.
in writing that they're going to run for
Run for
office.
office.
They can't just publicly do it.
Right.
Okay.
They have to notify in writing. If they don't, and they file, then that's route to termination.
Right. Then when an employee or candidate of the county does file for a county elected office, the employee will be allowed to use annual leave. Once annual leave is depleted, the employee will be placed on leave without pay. The employee shall remain on leave without pay until after the election,
Results.
after the,
Not
The
just
final
after the final election,
final election in November.
after the general election.
Just make it clear, in November.
But see,
but what if they lose?
But
They
if
lose
you
the
lose it,
primary until they're no longer a candidate.
Till they're no longer a candidate.
And that's it, that covers everything.
Okay,
That's
the
till
employee
they're
shall
no longer
remain
a
on
candidate.
leave without pay until they are no longer a candidate.
correct.
Okay.
So tell me this doesn't apply to elected officials that are already in office, like the treasurer, if she decides to
It
run.
doesn't. It
They're
doesn't.
not sheriff, treasurer,
Right.
clerk of court, they can,
None of them.
but they still cannot
Campaign
Campaign.
actively on
No.
duty.
Now they're gonna be subject to the Hatch Act.
Right.
And
So
They
can
can't
a
have
county
their
council
employees
member,
campaigning for them.
Yeah.
So
They
can
cannot
one of
have
us
their
run for
employees
probate judge?
campaigning for them.
Employee anyway.
so anybody here can run for, probate judge or
You're
whatever?
elected. All elected can run for whatever.
We're not
they
counting
want.
employees.
Run for anything. But we're not employees campaigning.
Gotcha.
County council person is not gonna be an employee anyway, so we're not subject to this policy.
I think I'm gonna run for governor.
Okay. All right, so that line being, the employee should remain on leave without pay until they are no longer a candidate,
I like that.
okay? All right, and,
Is that what some of the other ones saying, no longer a candidate?
for office, or candidate
I
for
I
something,
pulled Florence and all, I don't think they said no longer a candidate, I don't know what the wording is, but I know that's what we're trying to say. I pulled some of the other ones. But if they wanna say no longer a candidate, it's fine, but I know that's what you're trying to say. Let's see what Florence is saying. Florence is saying what the Hatch Act is saying, they just strictly say the Hatch Act and that's it. Darlington strictly say no. I don't know, I wanna say no longer a candidate. But would you kind of question that, look at that, to be sure that that's the right wording though, to say no longer a candidate?
okay, we can't,
Yeah.
okay.
But I know that's what you're trying to say, right?
Right.
Okay.
You know, a candidate,
No longer candidate.
Because
If they lose in the primary, they're done.
If you win in the primary,
They're done. If they win November, they're done.
if you win in the primary and say, I don't wanna do it anymore, it's not worth it, I'm going back to work, then you're no longer a candidate.
Right,
Yeah, that makes it clear.
okay.
Okay, so I can look at that and we can finalize,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
that verbiage.
Yes,
Okay, and then and we want to still say, for the purposes of this policy, an employee is considered a candidate for public office as soon as he or she files for candidacy.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Glad they active in this process now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on was, we added a section on firearms. Employees may not possess firearms of any kind while inside any county building, while on any county property, while inside any county vehicle, or while on any county work site. The only exceptions to this prohibition are the employee is a licensed officer that is authorized to carry a weapon, or if the firearm is secured in a locked compartment and not visible from outside in a locked, privately owned vehicle. Violation of this policy will result in disciplinary action up to and including immediate termination.
I definitely think we need this policy.
Okay. Then going on with your social media policy, the third sentence of the third paragraph was edited to say, and we added a fifth paragraph. Third paragraph, posts that contain obscene material, harassment, bullying, the promotion of unlawful activity, personal attacks on other Marlboro County employees, or that reasonably calls into question the employee's judgment, or that reasonably cause concern among the public, may result in immediate discipline up to and including termination from employment. The fifth paragraph that was added states, employees of Marlboro County are forbidden from posting and interacting on their personal social media accounts during hours of duty, unless to promote any events or services sponsored by Marlboro County, and in full compliance with the guidelines set forth by their supervisor. The first offense will warrant a verbal warning, followed by a written warning on the second offense. The third offense will result in unpaid administrative leave. The fourth offense will result in termination of the employee.
Did you want to explain why we got that policy? Because sometimes you have employees may be on their social media chatting and going on and posting on the website, and that should not be taking place, not on their work time. And sometimes many people don't like what we do on council, and they go on social media and they post some negative stuff. Employees do that. So people can post what they want to, but when you decide to do it with the county device, if you're posting on county device and you're posting negative stuff about employees or any other person, that should not take place on a county device.
Further than that, even further than that.
Yes, sir.
Even if it's on your personal phone.
Yes, sir.
You still, if you're at work.
Right, you at work, you're not on break, you're not on, I think so too. So that will be clear, y'all, the department heads will make that clear.
All right, take-home vehicles. We added a paragraph at the end stating, no county vehicles shall be used for transportation to or from an operator's residence if living outside of Marlboro County, with the exception of those used by emergency responders and those who are on call for emergencies. If warranted for an unusual situation, the vehicle will be utilized only with prior approval from county council. If a county employee with a take-home vehicle is to be out for a planned leave of absence of at least 3 or more days, that vehicle must be parked on Marlboro County premises at a location designated by the department head. No employee shall be authorized to ride family members or other riders not involved in official county business. An employee's title or position will not be regarded as justification for taking a county vehicle home. Justification is based on the department's missions, needs, without regard to official capacity, and by approval of county council. It is important for all county employees to remember that operating a county vehicle is a privilege, not a right. And those were
Any
all.
discussion
Any
on
question on
this? I have some discussion.
Go ahead.
Even though the committee didn't think so. Aiken County and a lot of other counties have, it's a state statute that the seal be placed on the left and the right-hand side of those vehicles. I know that we rent those vehicles, but I do think that too many of our employees, the staff, I'll say staff, have taken our vehicles and thinking this is their personal property, as far as their personal vehicle. I think those vehicles need to be identified. People in the county are talking about it anyway, but I do think those vehicles need to be identified. That's
They
what
are
I think.
identified with personal tags, we looked into that also. You only have one of the 3 requirements.
Right.
Decal, personal plates, and what the other one was? I can't think of the other. But all our kind of vehicles got
The
government
tag,
tags on it.
Stickers.
They got the decal, they don't have the
No, they
the
got the
label.
government tag.
They just got the
They
tag.
got a tag, and, I know, from the business I'm in, whenever you have a leased vehicle, you put a sticker on, you gonna pay, cause that sticker gonna leave an imprint. All the sticker leave an imprint on vehicles, and it is a task to get that imprint off, and sometimes you can't get them off, even when you sand them and repaint them. So that's be an additional cost to the county, if we put decals on. And then it goes, some of the vehicles we do, we lease. And if you got identified with license tag on them, you can swap them from one to another. If that car get in a wreck, they take the tag off, put it on another car. If not, you gotta go buy more decals.
Are the sheriff's department's vehicles leased? So they have decals on them, so
They do.
all of them have decals on them, so
They do.
majority of the sheriff's departments that are leased has decals on them.
They do.
Yes, so the decal, I agree with Ms. Lawson on this point, is you're hearing about it, you know, so it's easy, we've always had it, it's been a standing thing. It may be one or the other, but I think put a decal on the county equipment, county vehicles, that way you don't have to, you don't have to worry
On
about it.
every kind of vehicle.
On every county vehicle. Unless it was an unmarked patrol car, which they've all, but other than the county vehicles, I think a seal on the side. Most other government agencies have statewide has the seal on the side.
And a lot of them don't now, a lot of them don't, 'cause I would not want, me personally, I would not want to see our administrator or economic developer somewhere, doing, wherever they may be, doing work or whatever, with a decal. You know, it's a mute point. I understand the sheriff department because they are an official, but we would have, our administrator, going somewhere at a public event somewhere and got a big old decal on it. So everybody might not want to be known as the department head. You know, they want to drive the vehicle at an event that represents the county, but not have the logo on it.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just adding just some information. The upfitting on the sheriff's office vehicles, I guess the logos and stuff, that's part of their upfitting. We ensure that upfitting. And then sometimes the upfitting is also along in our purchase agreement that we have with our lease too. That's just information purposes.
So that's not in part of the lease agreement that we have with the vehicles now?
No, not
The other county
okay,
bid.
not with.
The other county
right,
bids.
not with some of the other departments, that's not.
So we
part
don't
of it.
have that as a part of our lease agreement?
No, but lately, the sheriff's vehicles has been coming with some of that upfitting as part of their lease agreements. And that's, just like I said, that was just giving you
Just the information.
Thank you, ma'am. Don, you gonna say something? Anybody else got a comment about the, logos, on kind of vehicles? I like the policy of that you out for 3 days, vacation or sick leave, all kind of vehicle need to be parked here at a designated location. And, you know, and we know a lot of time we got, during this hurricane, time, we got a lot of people who may be on call, you know, so they're gonna have to, you know, take the vehicle home, which is understandable. And I know they're gonna run everything, all that through, our administrator in that situation. But I see, all of them is identified, every kind of vehicle is identified.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. You know,
What kind of vehicle not?
because there's the different, all kind of different agencies are allowed to run municipal government tags. Water companies, utility companies, all kind of things are allowed to use, municipal tags in the state of South Carolina. So I would like for us to vote on it, to be clear, if you don't move, yeah, I mean, if we don't push it, move forward, then it's fine, but I think, you know, just to eliminate,
Make a motion.
to do it, so, you know.
And then this is a second, if we do it, this is a second reading, guess what? There's a third reading. The public can make their comments on it too.
Yeah, but we can't make that vote tonight about, upfitting with
No,
decals.
no,
We just have to stick to
no,
this
correct.
particular.
Yeah, we just did to the ordinance. Okay, but that, council members, that food for thought, for our next meeting, you know, we gonna address that issue, anybody got anything, we need to go back to the old business, ordinance 871? Okay, yeah, that's right, discussion of personnel policy and procedure manual for Marlboro County. We heard the information that, HR had given us, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance 871 with the changes that we identified today.
The policy and procedure manual,
Yes.
second. All right. Any more discussion on the personnel policy and procedure manual for Marlboro County? Hearing none, ma'am.
Discussion, just so I can be clear. We're taking this as information then, is that what we're doing?
That's second reading.
The
We're
second
doing the
reading.
second reading, but the suggestion about what we discussed as far as maybe thinking about proposal as far as putting the decals on, that is not gonna be discussed at all anymore,
No, they just second reading, yeah, exactly.
so,
That had to be a separate.
You gotta be separate on that.
All of it could have, if it would have been included in this, but I mean, all of its policies and procedures, even though it's printed or non-printed,
Right.
you know, it's still policies and procedures, the whole manual,
Right.
if I'm stating correctly. So, because it says policies and procedures manual, so if we want to add that, which, this is still
It's still
a second reading.
Yeah,
on-
just second
Go
reading.
ahead.
Even if it keeps going, you already have in this policy that if you wanna add something, it just takes a resolution.
because we're doing it by resolution now.
Correct.
It can be done by resolution moving forward.
So even between second and third reading, you could
Okay,
yeah.
clear.
Okay,
Thank
motion been made and second, and discussion have been, heard. All in favor of second reading, show hands. Okay, there's none opposed. That's passed. We got any more business? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion, second, third, and fifth.